What's up, fellas? Man, it has been a crazy year, and here we are, still doing it up. Hopefully, y'all can hear me all right. Hey, thanks, Scotty. Representing my buddies at Big Go Hobby tonight. Mm. All right. So, Happy New Year's to everybody. It's not quite here yet, but it's coming. It is New Year's Eve. And thanks for coming to watch a little bit of Air Marshal Live on Friday nights, man. Um, let's see. My desk is a little out of sorts, as you can see. I am set up in balsa build mode here, and we actually have some progress here, fellas. I got a wing. I I got a wing. Kinda. It's not finished yet, but I've got the sheeting on the bottom. I got some ribs installed. I've got the sheeting kind of done on the top, the leading edge sheeting. And, the instructions only call to have this one part sheeted on the back or on the interior portion of the wing, but I'm just going to fully sheet the top half of the wing. And today, coming through like a boss, I don't have any busted planes laying around. Actually, I do. I have, thanks, Randy. I do have a, a plane laying around that I could have pulled these out of, but I was trying to get a hold of the servo pockets. I've actually been done with this for about a week, wanting to move forward with getting this wing installed, but I didn't have any servo pockets. So Nate Kugel, who, interesting enough, was the winner of one of the first airplanes I ever gave away. He had a wrecked airplane and had some 9-gram servo pockets with the servos still in them from a Freewing plane, and was able to pull those servo pockets out and send them to me. So very cool. Thanks to Nasty Nate. Way out in California, he sent these yesterday. They got here this morning. So he put these on like UPS turbo mode, and they got here this morning. So that's awesome. So we have the servo pockets now, and I'm going to be epoxying these servo pockets into the wings and routing some servo extensions through the wings, and then we'll be doing the full top covering or the top sheeting of the rest of the wing and leaving the bottom open. So, and the instructions, like I said, they call for the whole top half to be open too, but I kind of want the bottom to be open, so it'll be easier to, if I do need to service the airplane at all, it'll be easier to service it. I can just cut out a small section of the covering and replace it. So I can get to the interior sections of the wing if I leave the bottom uncut or not fully sheeted, just with the lower, what do they call those, cap strips there, and fully cover it on the top. So, and I don't want to be able to see the ribs through the covering, at least from the top of the wing. From the bottom, I really don't care. So that was another, kind of consideration there of why I'm kind of straying from the directions a little bit. But there's so much stuff that I have to do on this airplane that's going to be outside the norm, because the airplane is, it is built as a, it kind of looks like the chat stopped moving. Are y'all all right? Can everybody still hear me? everything still looks good. Um, Man, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so this plane, yeah, it is built, or at least the design is for a glow engine. And after, some internal debating, I wanted to go with a glow engine initially. I was like, I've got a couple of OS Max 20 sized engines that the Mary Boozers were going to be sending up this way, and some gas tanks, everything I needed to do this as a glow plane. But, I think it'd be better to just do it as an electric, just for the ease of maintenance and making sure, some of those smaller glow motors, I mean, I don't want the thing to just shut off on me. I'd rather have a little more control. So I think I'm going to do electric. And I haven't really decided, how far I'm going to go with the electric yet. Whether I'm going to do like a 2200 size battery or a 3200 size battery. It really depends on how the plane CGs once I get everything together. Because I'm going to have to alter the drawing so much to add like a battery hatch and all that stuff that at that point, what's it going to hurt by adding a few more, kind of customizations to the design as it's printed, and one of those being sheeting the whole top half of the wing. So far so good. On the wing, I'm actually kind of impressed with myself. This is my first, like full-on stick build of a balsa kit. And to be quite honest, it's not the best instructions on the planet. I mean, the instructions for this thing were written in like 1970 something, easily in 1970 something. So it kind of is what it is, right? So now that I've got a good idea of how I want the plane to be built, it's going to be much easier moving forward, getting everything kind of put together and ready to go. And so far, I'm really enjoying it. I wasn't so sure that I would really, be able to get into like building balsa. I thought that I'd get bored with it or whatever, and I really haven't. So it's been interesting. I've run into some complications here and there. Not so much with piecing everything together, but kind of finding out like what on earth are they talking about. They've got like there's something on the plans that it doesn't say anything about it in the directions, where it says aft dihedral brace, forward dihedral brace. I'm like, what are these dihedral braces? And the directions are so piecemeal. And on the template, so it's got like templates. It doesn't say anything about dihedral braces, but it does have this angle guide shear web. And when I know that the interior portions that go, between the spars, there's like these little balsa, pieces of wood that go between the spars, where the ribs come through, and those I could see on there that those were called shear webs. So, when I saw the one that said like angle guide shear web, I was like, huh, that one's got an angle to it. All the rest of them are straight. So this must be what they're talking about with this dihedral brace, right? And I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So if I mount this like straight up vertical, that right there, that angle that you see, my hand is straight up and down, or this block, so the standing block is straight up and down, and that'll be the dihedral of the wing. So as long as I build the other one, you know, symmetrical to this one, I'll have a dihedral of about, you know, 2 to 3 degrees in the wing, which is perfect. So far so good on the balsa build. And I know, you know, now that I've got the servo pockets and I see how I'm going to mount the servo pocket in the wing, the right wing will come together much faster than the left wing did. And, you know, I think that for the most part, the wing is where a lot of my customizations are going to be coming in. For the aft servos, you know, for the rudder and the elevator, I'm going to be mounting those on the side of the fuselage and running servo extensions up rather than mounting them inside the fuselage. So there is quite a few modifications that I'm going to have to make to the fuse. But from what I'm seeing, I mean, the airplane's only going to be about, you know, as I'm looking at the plans right here in my face, it's only going to be about that long. And whatever this is wide. So it's going to be a fairly small airplane. I'm thinking 3S 2200, possibly 4S, you know, depending on what power system I put in there and how much speed I'm looking to get out of it. I think that 4S would make this thing completely scream. And the other thing that I'm kind of surprised about, right, that I wasn't really expecting, you know, if we take like a sheet of balsa, you know, so here's a portion of one of the balsa planks that I've been working with. You know, I mean, this stuff is very lightweight, as you would expect, very flexible. It moves around. It's not rigid at all. I mean, it's balsa, right? Once you get this stuff like glued together, I mean, this thing, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and like just crank on it because obviously it is very lightweight. It's very kind of weak wood, so to speak. But this thing is pretty dang sturdy, you know, like it's definitely going to hold up. It's a lot more sturdy than foam, you know, so I don't expect that these wings are going to have any problem with like flex or anything like that. I mean, they are rigid. So yeah, I'm not going to stand on it. It's definitely going to just now. I'm just kind of surprised at how strong it becomes as you start to build that structure out. It's surprising. So I'm really looking forward to finishing this up. And I think we're going to see a lot more progress in the coming weeks. Slim V, that's funny. Yeah, when they flex, they're done forever. And, you know, with it being a P-51, I expect it to have all of the same flight characteristics that a P-51 has, meaning that once it gets in the air, I fully expect it to fly like a dream. But once this thing gets on the ground, especially with it being short coupled, now they do have the tail wheel all the way in the back of the plane, which is a bit of a departure in the design of the actual Mustang. So it may have a little bit better ground handling than a more scale Mustang design would have, because the tail wheel is all the way at the back of the plane instead of being moved forward, you know, kind of under the brake of the turtle deck and the vertical stabilizer. So I do suspect it'll have a little better ground handling, but not by much, right? These things, Mustangs, as anybody who's flown a Mustang knows, are like ground loop central. Yeah, sports scale. Wild Bill, you know, it certainly almost looks like it does. It's flat on the bottom, but as you look at it, it does have a little bit of, I mean, it definitely is a more, uh, the angles are definitely different coming towards the tip of the wing, than they are here at the root. So I would think that it does. It's not very noticeable, but I think just the way that everything kind of pieces together and the angles that I'm looking at, even though it's a flat bottom, that the profile of the airfoil is certainly different here at the wing root than it is at the wing tip. So I think they do have a little bit of washout built in. Mike Nolan, welcome to the show, man. Yeah, Ken Bird, that's good, man. One of the things that I have that was provided with the kit is they do give you a little bit of, and this stuff is just a mess. They do give you like a 1-inch strip of fiberglass, right? With the intent being that once you get the two wing halves put together, that you take this fiberglass and wrap it around the entire, center of the wing to hold the two wing halves together, and you put that fiberglass in there to keep that from happening. I am going to do that. My plan right now is to have, the two center sections of the wings. Hopefully they will mate up very well. If they don't, nothing a little bit of sandpaper can't fix, as I found out. Take the trusty old Titebond wood glue, clamp the two wing halves together. I don't know if I'll actually use a clamp, but I might. Clamp the wing halves together, let that Titebond set up, and yeah, I actually will be able to clamp that because the bottoms are still going to be open, so I can use a small clamp to clamp that together. Let that Titebond set up, and then use that fiberglass strip and use either fiberglass like epoxy resin, or I'll figure some way out to harden that and make it where it won't come apart. But that's kind of my plan, is to use the fiberglass strip to reinforce the center. So you're talking epoxy the two wing halves together instead of Titebond? Or epoxy the fiberglass? I mean, I can certainly use epoxy on the two wing halves. That's not going to bother me, but I mean, shit. Titebond is pretty dang good stuff. But all right. I'll use epoxy. I don't give a crap. I got plenty of it. Randy, I have this suspicion that trees only have foam magnets in them. Fine. I'll use epoxy to put the two, I'll use epoxy, here at the center joint to glue the wings together. And then I'll also use epoxy, on the fiberglass. You guys. So, Augard, are you saying to... Now, I mean, I've been using Titebond on several of these joints, and they're every bit as strong as where I've used CA. The Titebond joints they're awesome. I mean, anybody that's built like, any kind of wood furniture or done any kind of woodworking outside of airplanes, this is what we use is tight bond, man. This stuff don't mess around. A tight bond joint, I mean, it takes some oomph to break a tight bond joint. So, yeah, the fiberglass strip that they give you is not very impressive, just being honest. Um, so I may try to get like a wider strip of fiberglass to go around the center. At first I was kind of like, how the heck does that work? But now that this wing is coming together, I think I have a better understanding of what's going on here. So it'll be easier, once I get this part done and get those two wing halves together, it's easier to see like exactly where that's supposed to go. And then like right in the center, I have to drill a hole. And there's going to be a dowel pin in there that lines it up when I insert it into the fuse. So that's cool. But I mean, this wing is so small. The plane is going to be so small that I'm probably going to build it in a fashion where the wings are not going to be removable anyway. I'm just going to permanently attach the wings to the fuselage. I think that's the better way to go, is to have the wings just glued up to the fuselage instead of having them be removable. What is balsa tack? So remember, guys, I mean, a lot of this stuff that I'm doing here is very new to me. I mean, I have built some furniture in the past, so that's, working with wood is not a completely new experience. But, some of this other stuff, oh, balsa tack, no, never mind, I get it. Ha! Foam tack. They should have balsa tack, right? You jerks. So yeah, fun experience so far. And it's cool that I get to bounce a lot of this stuff off of you guys. So Craig, the idea is once I get the fuselage built out, that there is a place in here where there's a firewall where the motor's going to mount to. Obviously, we're going to have that motor come out. And I can see the plans here. You guys can't see it, unfortunately. But, the idea is to mount the motor to the X-brace, to the firewall, of course, with the correct incidence angle and all of that stuff to make sure that we don't have any, P factor, or we mitigate it as much as we can by introducing the proper thrust angle, so a little bit down, a little bit to the right, and just behind the firewall, according to the plans, there is an area here where like your servos mount. It's got the area where your fuel tank would mount, your receiver battery if you were running one, etc. So just forward of the canopy, and I may make the canopy all part of the same like thing that pops off. I may just make like the whole top all the way to the aft of the canopy. So that whole area I may make removable, where it has some like a tongue and groove type thing up front, and some rare earth magnets around the back underneath the canopy, where that will snap back down. And and have that entire center area where the fuel tank and the servos would go for your rudder and your elevator, since I'm going to have those mounted in the fuselage in the back of the plane, I think that gives me enough room to mount whatever I want up in the front of the plane. So I should have plenty of room to mount whatever kind of battery I want up there. It'll give me the area to mount my receiver, mount all that fun stuff. So I think we're going to be good. It certainly seems like it. And at least, from what I'm seeing so far, I am probably going to be using like an Avian, the 45 amp ESC, and an AR. I may go with a 631 in this one. If not, I'll go with a 637T. Yeah, Wild Bill. So the servos are going to go as far back as I can get them, right? I may stagger them a little bit off the center line so I can have them, a little bit further back because there's not a lot of room back there. So, as the plane, starts to taper down to, the rudder in that aft end, I'll get them as far forward as I need to, for that little servo to sit in there, and then stagger them a little bit where they're kind of one on top of the other. And that's kind of going to be my idea there, is to get the servos as far back as I can get them to have that little bit of extra weight. And the servos that I'm using are going to be some Freewing 9-gram digital Metal Gear servos. So they do have a little more weight to them than other servos do. The Freewing servos, at least in my experience, they're little 9-gram digital Metal Gear servos have a little more heft to them than say the FMS 9 grams, especially when you start talking about like plastic geared servos. So I want to get those as far back in the fuse as I can, and kind of go from there. Drone Man Productions. Welcome to the show, man. If you haven't been here before, welcome. Happy New Year. Drone Man says, I really wish this new year that someone would show me how to do plug-and-play programming of a Spectrum receiver and talk me through one step by step and show me this, as I'm an idiot. Lucky for you. We've got a lot of that already. So any of the new receivers that you're going to buy from Spectrum are going to be forward programming capable. And we have a whole series dedicated to programming all of the forward programming receivers. Now, it's called the AR637T programming series. I need to kind of rename that and change, some of the tagging and stuff like that, so it, kind of modifies what people will get in the search engine. But those receivers are capable of, all the receivers, the new ones all program the same. So whether that's a 637, an 8360, a 10360, which is the 6, 8, and 10 channel forward programming receivers, they all program the same. So you'll be good to go. And we do have one that is kind of a step-by-step walkthrough of the whole process that has been added to that series. So you are good to go. But if you need to reach out to me at any time, you can always go to rcairmarshal.com and Spectrum YouTube channel. Stop it. Come on, man. Come to the RC Air Marshal YouTube channel where we really show you how to do the Spectrum stuff. Yeah, so Drone Man, if you look at my videos for the 637 programming series, and I think at the end of it, so the very last video in the playlist is a walkthrough from start to finish, which is exactly what you're talking about. take it out of the package, throw it in an airplane, power it up for the first time, and go through the whole process all in one video if you don't want it broken up into individual pieces. I think the whole video is about an hour, and that hour is because I'm explaining a lot as I go, right? Once you're familiar with the process, it takes maybe 10 minutes, to go through everything. Snow Valley Park, I wish people in the local hobby stores knew how to do this stuff. There's not many folks out there, at least in the local hobby shops, in my opinion. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, of course, but for the most part, I don't think a lot of people at these hobby shops know much about airplanes. Like I said, of course, there are exceptions to the rule, right? RC Fun Park up in South Bend, Illinois, South Bend, Indiana, Illinois. I mean, you've got Bobby K and Ryan working there now. They own the place, so they know what they're doing. But I'd say for the most part, your hobby shops are going to be owned by people that have more of an interest in surface. They sell airplanes, but they're not big airplane guys. They certainly aren't going to be big spectrum guys. And again, yes, there's exceptions to the rule, but I don't expect to be able to walk into a hobby shop and them have that level of knowledge. Drone Man, I am using a Spectrum NX10 in that video. So yes, the NX10 and the NX8 are going to program very similar. Kenny, what's up? Hey, what did I lie about, man? I'm typically a pretty honest fella. Yeah, Slim V, ain't that the truth? They're always willing to say you something, that's for sure. And man, check it out. I'm not saying don't support your local hobby shop, but I wouldn't go there looking for advice on how to program your Spectrum radio unless they have an airplane guy at that hobby shop that's been doing Spectrum for a while. Just, hold on. Hey, we're gonna get to some zooming tonight, man. It's only 9:38. It's only 9:38. I told you I was gonna do a live show because it is the end of 2021. And I want to say, I do want to talk about 2021 as it relates to the world of specifically Air RC. And what a wild ride it's been this year, man. So Drone Man, what you're going to want to look for is, it was actually one of my live videos. It was a live video that I put up in the same playlist as all of my AR637T programming series. So if you look under my channel, look for the playlist, you'll find the one that's it's either going to be called the Forward Programming playlist or the 637T playlist. Look there, and that's where you're going to find the that live video that's start to finish, step by step, it's all there. I don't actually have a way to do that right now because the keyboard on my computer is busted, which sucks. I don't even think it's here anymore. I think I threw it away because there's keys on it that don't work anymore. So I think I just threw it away. So all I've got sitting in front of me is a mouse. But hopefully somebody in here can go to one of my playlists, can go to that 637T playlist, find the video, and link it in the chat for Drone Man. That'd be awesome. Yes, it was a live stream that we were doing that with. But there's a single video, a single live stream that goes over the whole process. And I put that in the playlist for the 637T programming series. So check that out. It should help you quite a bit. If it doesn't, feel free to go to rcairmarshal.com, go to the contact, contact me section of that webpage, and that will send an email directly to me. And then we can converse over email or whatever if you still need some help afterwards. And we can certainly get you through the process where we can get you up and flying. Buck Reynolds. Good to see you, man. And great to hear RealFlight 9.5. Man, it's a good time, and it's a great training aid if you're trying to learn how to do new stuff with RC. So let's do a quick 2021 year in review, a little bit of recap for what's been going on here at in the world of aviation RC. So obviously we've had a lot of stuff happening in the surface world. There's other channels that cover that. Let's talk about the aviation world. So, a couple of big things that have happened. Now, I will say a couple of new companies have emerged in 2021. As far as the stuff that we do, XFly to us is a new company born from a couple of former FMS engineers. XFly has kind of come out of nowhere and released a couple of really awesome airplanes this year. So they've released the Sirius, which we have available to us already. There's a trainer that I can't remember the name of because it's a trainer and I'm just not going to buy it. They've got the T7, which is a 64 millimeter single jet. They've got a twin 50 millimeter A10, which is also pretty awesome. They've got the new J65, which is a Gulfstream 650 coming out. They've kind of come out of left field, just broke into the scene this year and have a lot of really nice, awesome airplanes coming up. And I just think that's cool to get another manufacturer that's making quality airplanes on the scene that's going to give us something to talk about. So that is fantastic. Next, just year in review, I don't want to say that it's what a crazy year. And again, this is my opinion. What a crazy year it's been. Number one, all right, Horizon Hobby just in general has blown it out of the box. Blown it out of the box. XFly available. XFly, by the way, is available at BitGo Hobby, my buddies in crime, who we do have an affiliate program. We have an affiliate partnership with BitGo Hobby. So if you go to rcairmarshal.com and click on the BitGo Hobby link, that will take you to my affiliate link at BitGo. And I receive a small commission when you use those affiliate links, and I really appreciate it. So we got affiliate links to BitGo. We've got affiliate links to Horizon. We've got Amazon affiliate links, Banggood affiliate links, and a PayPal link is there too if you want to shoot some cash over to me. Send me a little tip. You know what I'm saying? A little $5, a little 5 spot. And I really appreciate you guys using those links. So here's what we got. Uh-oh. I got a message from, one of the executives at the company that I work for. It was basically like a thank you letter in text message. How nice. All right. So Horizon Hobby has just come out swinging this year with at least one release for every month, man. I mean, what has Horizon done this year? I mean, let's talk about it. we've got the 80 millimeter F-16. I mean, and we're not going in any kind of chronological order because the releases this year have just been like boom, 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 boom. What they have, the Ultrix 600 that came out this year. That thing's pretty wild. We've got the 80 millimeter F-16, which is probably the best foam F-16 on the market right now. I mean, it's insanely bad to the bone. Very good model. Very good model. So check out all the stuff that's out there on the 80 millimeter F-16. It is awesome. The Draco, whether you like the Draco or you don't like the Draco, is pretty irrelevant to this part of the conversation. You can't deny what an impact that plane has made, positive or negative. It is being talked about still. It sold a crap ton. Containers and containers and containers and containers full of planes. It's been on back order for most of the year. And it finally became available about a month ago for widespread distribution through the local hobby shops and the online dealer network. So the Jam of the Month Club, Michael Bear, I don't think so. I don't think I am getting the Jam of the Month Club. The Draco was a huge release this year for Horizon. I mean, and the list just keeps going. What they had the new Carbon Z Cessna 150 tail dragger version. Yes, it's kind of a re-release. The Turbo Timber Evolution, I think, is great. That's awesome. Shifting steam over, or shifting RealFlight 9.5 over to the steam engine, I think is great for the future of the RealFlight platform. Even though, it may be, and look, I'm not here to like offend people or whatever, but I can see where the future of that can go, right? Because now they can make it a very modular system with microtransaction kind of pay-as-you-go type things, or you buy what you want in little sections, where anybody that's familiar with DCS, you've got like the DCS engine that you can download, and then you add the airplane modules that you want, So if you want an F-14 Tomcat, you can buy it. If you want, an F-16, you can buy it. If you want the F-18, you can buy it. If you want the super carrier thing, you can buy it, right? All of those things. Slim V, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. So all of that stuff is great for the RealFlight platform. So I think that is, even though we may not see really the impact that moving over to the steam engines is going to have right now, I think the future of RealFlight living in the new Steam distribution network is huge for the RealFlight platform, and is going to offer us a lot of options going into the future that we haven't had available to us before. Because in the past, if you wanted whatever features came with, say you had RealFlight 7.5 and RealFlight 8 comes out, if you want the features of RealFlight 8, you have to buy a whole new copy of RealFlight 8 for $100. And then 8.5 comes out. And if you want the features that 8.5 comes with, $100. 9 comes out, $100. 9.5 was a free upgrade. Awesome. The Steam Edition has been a free upgrade. Awesome. I'll tell you, I bought RealFlight 9 almost 2 years ago. I haven't paid a dime extra into it. All of the airplanes that have come out since then, which there's been at least 2 patches for RealFlight 9, 3 now, that have included new airplanes that I haven't had to pay for, which is great. And another big thing that goes along with the RealFlight thing is Horizon actually purchased I don't know that they purchased Knife Edge software, like all of it, but they certainly purchased the RealFlight portion of Knife Edge software. They may fully own Knife Edge software now. I'm not 100% on that, but they are now a true stakeholder in the company, a majority owner of Knife Edge. So, or at least the RealFlight development team. So that is now all in-house at Horizon, which I think is a great thing for, for the future of that platform. So moving on, another big release for Horizon this year, I think, was the OV10. Um, it may be out of reach for a lot of people, and the Hangar 9 Pitts, which is just an amazing, amazing airplane. The Hangar 9 Pitts looks amazing. The OV10 is just an incredibly majestic aircraft. It's just awesome. We're talking about the Hangar 9 side of things. When we get in, back to, kind of the E-Flight thing, one of what I think has got to be one of the, not necessarily a surprise, but one of the better airplanes that they have made this year. The two that I've been most impressed with from Horizon, and someone mentioned it earlier, and I'll say this, I'm also awfully impressed with the RV7. RV7 is another one that's really nice. F-14 is not here yet, so I'm not going to include that as a 2021 airplane. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are initially disappointed with the F-14, but I think once they actually get their hands on one, they're going to be really surprised with how good that thing is. The RV7 and the Turbo Timber Evolution, I think, are also competitors for, what is the best release of the year from Horizon. I love the 80mm F-16. I love the 90mm Viper. Both phenomenal airplanes. The 90mm Viper is right up there with, one of the best sport planes in foam that's made right now. Sport jets. Right there with the Avanti S from Freewing, which I think is phenomenal. To me, the Avanti S from Freewing still kind of holds that torch as the best sport plane. There's just things that plane does that are just amazing to me. But the Viper 90 is right there. I mean, it's like right there, pushing into, they are about equal. Just as far as their magical flight qualities go. The lights, everything that comes with the Viper. The Viper is just an awesome, awesome airplane. The 80mm F-16 is just an awesome, awesome airplane. But here's why I also throw the RV7 and the Turbo Timber Evolution into the mix. Because not everybody is comfortable with jets. I mean, it just is what it is, right? A lot of the folks in the YouTube channels, yeah, we all love the jets, man. The 80mm F-16 is bad to the bone. I love it. It's awesome. The 90mm Viper is bad to the bone. I love it. It's awesome. Joan, man, I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I mean, they're great. But I think for the people that are intimidated by the jets, that's where I think that you've got two planes in the Turbo Timber Evolution and the RV7 that are very accessible to intermediate to beginner pilots, people that are just moving out of the trainers, that have worked with, the apprentices or their cub, trainer airplanes, and they're ready to move on to a second plane. We've got that new, the new T-28 this year too. There's just a lot of stuff that Horizon has been just home run, home run, home run. They've just been firing shot after shot after shot. It's been a great year for Horizon. I think that the Turbo Timber Evolution with the top loading battery was the best thing that's ever happened to that airplane, right? And better, I think the color scheme this year looks great for the Turbo Timber Evolution. I think that what they've done with that plane is fantastic. And that plane, you guys know, I mean, the Turbo Timber is a wonderful flying airplane. The Turbo Timber Evolution makes it even better because now it's easier to get the battery in and out of. It's easier to manage. It's going to have the performance is going to be about the same, which is what we expect, but there's other improvements that have been made that I think are all for the better. It's the best timber yet, which is kind of silly. I mean, it's what they always say, oh, this is the best thing yet. The Turbo Timber Evolution truly is the best timber they've made yet. They had the timber, then they had the turbo timber, and we're talking, the foam versions and the 1.5, scale or the bigger versions of the timber, I should say, in foam. So we're not talking about like the UMX. But they've got, the timber, the turbo timber, the Timber X, the Night Timber X. I think that for the people that like the pedigree of the original timber, not the X versions of the timber, that the Turbo Timber Evolution is the go-to aircraft for people that like that kind of plane. It's amazing. It's amazing. The RV7 is also an amazing little airplane. For those of you guys that haven't checked it out yet, the entry costs are nice and cheap. It's going to be very easy to fly for beginner to intermediate pilots, so you don't have to be an advanced pilot to be able to enjoy it. And that's why I really think that if we're being honest with ourselves, you have to kind of look at the, and to me, it's kind of a toss-up between the Turbo Timber Evolution and the RV7 as to which one of those two planes would win as my personal airplane of the year for 2021 from Horizon. I think they're fantastic airplanes. Personal opinion, right? But that's what we're here for, right? Because I get it. Everybody's got a different take on what's going on. And that's just my take on things. There's a limited audience of people that's going to be interested in buying an 80 millimeter F-16. There's a limited audience of people that are going to be interested in a 90 millimeter Viper. But everybody can fly the Turbo Timber Evolution. Everybody can fly the new E-Flite RV7. Two fantastic airplanes that I think are at prices that people are going to be willing to pay for those airplanes. And I think that they're in the right skill level. They're going to be wonderful, wonderful sellers for Horizon and great airplanes all around for the people that are looking for something like that. I think they're going to be airplanes that we're going to see in the Horizon arsenal for quite some time. All right. Next up, let's talk about Motion RC. Motion RC's had a bit of a weird year, man. And I think that it's mostly due to COVID and Motion for the most part, with the exception of the last one. So the PJ 50 was kind of the exception here. Well, the Bison too. The Bison was announced very early before it was available. So really only 4 big airplanes to come out of the Motion arsenal this year. So you've got the Bison. Jay Huff, thank you very much, man. I would love to see a new Spitfire come from Horizon. And when you look at the 1,500 airplanes that have come from Horizon, you've got the Mustang 1,500, which is a gorgeous airplane and flies amazing, but you have to know how to fly a Mustang. It will not treat you well if you don't know how to fly it. So the Mustang is fantastic. The FW190, you guys know my feeling on German planes, but the FW190 from an airplane point of view, not necessarily its origin, the FW190, in my opinion, is a little bit better built, a little higher quality than the Mustang, than the P51. FW190, by the way, was that released in 2021? I don't remember. But regardless of whether it was released in 2021 or the end of last year, it doesn't really matter. Also, fantastic airplane. And I love warbirds. I would love to see the next airplane in that lineup be a British airplane, because there's only so many warbirds out there, right? But when you look at the big name warbirds, the warbirds that are worthy of being brought into the hobby world, the FW190 and the BF109 from German heritage are certainly worthy of being made into models for people that want them, right? Joe, man, you too, buddy. Have a good night. If you need anything, dude, just reach out. Shoot me an email. Go to rcairmarshal.com, hit the contact me button or whatever it is. Fill out the form. It comes straight to my email. So thank you so much. Thanks for coming out tonight. Have a good new year. It just makes sense to me that we've got one of the best American planes. We've got one of the best German planes. Doesn't it make sense to have one of the best British planes? And the popularity of the Spitfire I think, would warrant good sales numbers. At least in my opinion, right? Look, I don't run the marketing department. I can't tell Horizon what to do. All I can do is speculate on what I think would sell well. I think a Spitfire would possibly sell well or better than an FW190. Possibly not better than I don't think it would do better than a Mustang, But I think that when you look at all the other warbirds that are out there, which one is going to net you the most sales? A P47? Maybe. I think the one that's just going to blow the sales doors open, that if you want good sales and you want another warbird, the next thing in that 1.5 line should be a Spitfire. I think that would be amazing. Anyway, back to what I was saying about motion. I think it's more COVID related, but initially I was going to say I think that they have limited the amount of airplanes they've released because they have new airplanes available. I haven't seen them. It's what they're telling us. But they just can't release them because they're not available. They can't get them to the United States. And that's understandable, man. The shipping sucks right now. But here's the thing. They announced the Bison. Well, here's where I think Freewing has, or Motion, Freewing, whatever the case may be. They've made two moves this year that I think were retaliatory in nature to some degree, or they were announcements that had to be made, otherwise sales were going to be lost. My opinion again. Just take it for what it's worth. It could be true, it may not be. This is how I see it. I could be completely wrong, but I think that when the Bison was announced, it had to be announced right then. Otherwise, the Draco was going to steal its thunder. So when the Draco came out, the Bison was either announced right before or right after the Draco. I can't remember the timeline of events there. It had to be done. So it was months and months and months in advance that this happened. And the Bison wasn't, and to be fair, neither was the Draco. Neither one of them were ready to, to be shipped to the customer yet. They may have been on the water, but they weren't ready to go to the customer. So that was an interesting announcement from Motion. And I think that it was based on like marketing strategy. Like, dude, if we don't announce this now, the Draco's going to spank us. That's my kind of opinion on there. The next announcement was the Vulcan. And then, so the Vulcan 6S. And there's a lot of opinions about the Vulcan out there. There's a lot of opinions. The Vulcan is one of those planes where it's a sport jet. It's not an Avanti. I think that, I think it's a little bit, I don't know. That's one of those planes where I want to like it, but I'm a little skeptical. Colors are one thing. I can deal with colors, right? But it looks very similar to a Rebel. I'm not of one opinion or the other about its similarities to the Rebel, but it does look very close to a Rebel. But it's just kind of a safe airplane, if that makes sense. One that we can keep in our arsenal for a long time. It's going to fly great. It's made for people that are transitioning to jets. It doesn't have as many bells and whistles as the Avanti. It's got a little more bells and whistles as the Rebel. It almost seems like they're trying to do the Vulcan to be able to discontinue a few older models and do some housekeeping in their model lineup, right? If they can get the Vulcan in circulation and they've got a 6S and a 4S version, I think that takes that area that is currently filled by the current Vulcan or by the current Rebel, and get rid of the Rebel lineup. Like just discontinue the Rebel, move forward with the Vulcan. And I would say that the Vulcan is newer tech. It's got better servos out of the gate. It's got better construction in the front end, better landing gear, etc., etc. I'd say that the Vulcan is a better option than the Rebel. So discontinue the Rebel, move forward with the Vulcan. I think it has a good spot in the Motion lineup. The second part of Motion's announcements, or the fourth airplane, so I count the two Vulcans as two different airplanes. So Vulcan 6S was announced first, and then the 4S became available. And then really the last plane of the year, and I don't really know which way this went, because you got to think that there was something going on there with Motion and X-Fly. So Motion is going to be making a new announcement. X-Fly comes out and announces their business jet, so their J65. Motion announces the PJ50. Very similar airframes, both based on very popular Gulfstream private jet models. I don't believe in coincidences, especially when you have two airplanes that are so similar being announced on the same day. Did Motion get wind that X-Fly was announcing that day? Or did X-Fly get wind that Motion was announcing that day? So in order to take advantage of the hype, they both got released on the same day. I don't know. Check 6. Yeah. So for those of you that didn't know, X-Fly has changed the name of the the business jet. It is no longer the BJ-65. It has now just been called the J-65. So I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? But I have to believe that one of those announcements was not scheduled to happen the day that it happened. That those were supposed to go at two different times. You know, weird, man. Anyway, is what it is. But that's really the only thing that we saw from Motion this year, which was, I'm not going to say a letdown, because I'm not necessarily of the belief that you have to release new product over and over and over and over and over again to keep people buying your stuff. We don't see, I mean, there's companies that we don't talk about that are very successful, like Extreme Flight. Extreme Flight doesn't come out with, a new airplane every month. They don't need to. Did we see anything new come out of O&P models this year? Not really. We saw a couple of new things come out of, we at least saw a new F-86, I believe. Wasn't it the F-86? That came out of HSD. And HSD, I mean, that's about all you get from them, is maybe one new plane a year. Don't think we saw anything new come from Flex. Nope, that's not true. There's a way big RV-8 that's available now. So, there's there were some fishy things, some things that made me a little bit suspicious about the release dates from both of those companies, right? Which one had was honestly going to be releasing their airplane that day? And which one jumped in at the last minute and was like, we got to announce today, otherwise they're going to steal our thunder? One company was going to be announcing it honestly. One company rode the cape of the other. Don't know who did what, but that's my opinion, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. So who's next? Who does that leave? Hobbytown? Hobbytown. Hobby King? I mean, Hobby King actually had a few decent releases this year. They had a little Mustang, I think, that came out this year. I think the best plane that Hobby King put out this year was probably the Lancaster. But, I mean, they're do-overs, man. They're all do-overs. And to me, that's always a little bit disappointing when you have a do-over. It just kind of is what it is, right? But anyway, one other big one that I haven't mentioned yet is Dancing Wing. So the Balsa plug and play lineup from Dancing Wing, I think, was huge this year. Are they being sold in huge quantities yet? I don't think so, but they are absolutely worth it. And I think that the people that are in here, yeah, Kenny, the King Air was a great one. The King Air was a great one. And I'll admit that, the Hobby King Air is a great looking airplane. That was a good model from them. It really was. Let's see. Oh, the PT-17 from Dancing Wing is an amazing, amazing airplane. I've had the opportunity to fly it. I've had it now for several months. I, had some portion in the development, or the, at least the piecing together of the components, if you will, of the power system, because the power system that they were going to be putting in there was just grossly inefficient. We were able to put this thing up on 6S packs. You can fly this thing for 10 to 15 minutes on a 6S 5000, which is just awesome. I mean, what a great, great airplane. The PT-17 from Dancing Wing is just a big, beautiful doll of an airplane. I love it. It's an awesome airplane. and all the other models that have come out from Dancing Wing, whether they've been this year, late last year, I don't exactly remember, but I think they've all been 2021 announcements, and they're great. They're great airplanes. But, I was going to say earlier in the show, Dancing Wing was a new player. They are not. Dancing Wing has actually been around for a long time, making balsa kits. That have possibly been sold under other names, but Big Go is now selling Dancing Wing. So again, if you're interested in like the Dancing Wing PT-17, visit my friends at Big Go. If you're interested in any of the Horizon planes, visit our friends at Horizon. The affiliate links are all available by going to rcairmarshal.com and clicking on the links that are there. Happy New Year, Mickey. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, the Arrows planes. Did Arrows do anything new this year? What new did Arrows do this year? Was the F-15 new for 2021? Because the twin F-15, I think, is a great plane. And if that was new for 2021, I apologize for not mentioning it. The other one that they did this year, which I think is absolutely worth a look, but it's a re-release, is they've done a 6S version of the Husky Special Edition. If you guys are looking for a high wing plane that's on the more affordable side, the Husky is awesome. I've got one. I've got it on float, so you don't see me fly it all the time. I only fly it about once a month. But the Husky is an amazing airplane. Great, great flying airplane. And if you're looking for something to put on floats, I think that the Husky is a great choice. What an awesome airframe the Husky is. Yeah, and you do have the two hand toss models from Arrows this year in the T-33, which looks great. I haven't had an opportunity to fly either of the two 50mm hand toss models, but they have the T-33 and they've got the, somebody help me out, what's the other one? What's the other one? Oh, the Hawk. That's right, the BAE Hawk. You really can't go wrong with either one of those two airframes, right? So you've got the BAE Hawk and the T-33 in a 50mm hand toss format from Arrows that came out this year. Those are both fantastic. And that, I'm sure that there were other things. Flight Test obviously came out with a lot of new airplanes, but Michael Baer has more of an opinion on those than I could. So, I want to, I don't really have much of an opinion on the Flight Test planes. They're kind of like these planes, you got to know what you're doing to build a Flight Test plane anymore. They are not as simple as they used to be, especially the Masterbuilt models. So you have to be a little bit of a construction man, to be able to get those planes together and put them together successfully. So with all that said, if you were going to ask me what is my pick, what's the best plane, the plane of the year for 2021, my answer will probably be disappointing for a lot of people. I think, and this is based on like pricing, availability, accessibility to the most pilots, not necessarily for us advanced guys. I'd have to say it's a toss-up between, Wild Bill, the Draco would be a good choice, but I think that there's a lot of people price-wise that don't want to dip that far into it. Yeah, the Habu SS. I forgot about the Habu SS. That would be, that's another good model right there. But fixed gear, it's very basic. I gotta put my vote out there, as much as it goes against my grain, and I know that I'll take crap for it, but that's okay. I think that the E-Flight Turbo Timber Evolution is probably one of my favorite planes of the year. And that's crazy. That's crazy to even say that. But I think for all of the things that that plane brings to the table, the accessibility, how many people are going to be capable of flying it, it's more affordable. I think it brings so much to the table that, to me, is probably one of my favorite planes of the year. And I probably just got like everybody in the room just unsubscribed to RC Air Marshal. I'm out. Now, listen, do I think that it's the best plane that was made this year? No. I think that's a toss-up between, and again, a bit controversial, I think that's a toss-up between the Draco and the E-Flight 80mm F-16. I think the 80mm F-16 is probably that and the Draco are just two scale masterpieces. For foam airplanes, the E-Flight 80mm F-16 and the Draco are just amazingly scale aircraft that, I mean, what can you say other than admire the scale fidelity of those two airplanes? They're fantastic. But not everybody's going to want them. The Draco is priced very high. Not very many people can afford jets or are even ready to fly jets. The overwhelming majority of the people that are in this hobby are not ready for jets yet. They're not ready for jets. So I got to go with the model that's accessible to the most people, that brings the best that we have to offer, to the community, that brings the best airplane to the community at large. And I think the Turbo Timber Evolution is my pick as the airplane of the year for 2021. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. All right. So with all that said, it is time to switch this over to the New Year's Eve Zoom special. We are not going to keep going till midnight, but we are going to fire off a Zoom like we do every Friday. And I will be available, and I'm hoping that there will be a bunch of people in there and we can celebrate an RC New Year in the Zoom. We can all talk to each other. If you haven't participated in one before, please feel free to join us. It's a lot of fun. We're going to go ahead and fire that up. Yeah, Michael Bear, I just ignore Banggood. If they released anything, that's cool. Use my link to buy it. All right, so I am firing up a meeting in Zoom right now. And I invite every single person that is here right now joining us, I invite you to come and join us in the Zoom. There's the link. So the Taft, my 90mm Viper, has been around for a while, dude. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody. Hold on. Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming and joining us on this New Year's Eve edition of Air Marshal Live on Friday. So thank you all so much. Mike Noland, I use the floats from Arrows. They actually sell a float kit for the Husky. It comes with everything you need. You know, so it comes with the floats, the pontoons, it comes with all the hardware, everything you need to get the Husky on the water is included with that kit. It does have a servo controlled water rudder. They're great, you know, so check out the Husky floats. They're available at hobbyzone.com. I do not have affiliate links there, but Pilot Ryan does and GB does. So please support one of those folks. If you want to buy a Husky, go through pilotryanmedia.com, gblinden.com. I think the Merry Boozers have Hobby Zone links. You know, support one of the folks out there that's helping you out. It doesn't take much to go and click through one of those links. It helps us out a ton, and we really appreciate it. A lot of times the affiliate partnerships, you know, help these channels out more so. Wow, it sounds like it's windy as hell outside. Oh. Watch out for the cat. All right. So that's all we got for tonight. Please join us in the Zoom chat. I'm going to post that link here one more time. And until next year, everybody have a safe and happy new year. Don't get too drunk tonight. Make sure to give your wife a big kiss, or your girlfriend, or your man friend, or whoever you're with. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with, right? So be sure to give somebody a big kiss on, you know, as the year clicks over into 2022. You know, farewell and adieu to 2021. I am very much looking forward to see what the new year brings. Happy New Year's to everybody. We will see you guys all next week.